Man, poor man, beggar man, thief, for all men pray in India. A land of breathtaking beauty, with its robed and turbaned populace moving against a background of alabaster archways. And I find myself walking through the romantic roadways leading the temples of the Hindus. Jealously watching their devout followers, the Hindu gods squat on their perches, on temple walls, in the shadow of their towers of learning. Brahma, who has seen civilization fall and new religions luring his devotees away, sits between his sacred cows, knowing that his position in the Hindu firmament is secure. Through the courtyard below, a never-ending line of Hindus come and go in strange worship and meditation. Not a square inch of this tower has escaped the chisels of the sculptors. Tier upon tier, in order of their rank, the gods stand, ever reaching higher toward the heavens. They are piously caricatured in every mood. Not only is every deity represented, but every one of their hatred, love, anger, passion, cupidity, all the expressions are there. Here is the only religion in which vice becomes a virtue. The very conduct of the gods themselves encourages depravity. The Sikh bull, Siva's favorite steed, venerated as the symbol of fertility, guards the entrance to the temple compound. His stone hide is plated with beaten gold. A huge war horse seems a part of some titanic merry-go-round. Symbolic of the very spirit of India, he champs at the bit of time, going nowhere. Stone elephants guard gateways to the inner shrines. I entered one where effigies of the gods are hidden. Gods with the heads of elephants, gods with heads of jackals and hyenas, gods with too many arms, gods with too many heads, gods with the faces of saints and devils. In a secret shrine, the 10-armed image of Kali was worshipped by members of her sect. A woman with drug-crazed eyes was seized by a priest and carried off to an inner court. Another woman comes to make the sacrifice of goat's blood and her own body to Kali. One swift stroke by the executioner and the animal's soul is claimed for the god, and the sacred blood is consumed while it is still hot with life. Monstrous gargoyles such as are seen only in the fevered dreams of an opium eater towered over me. I left the temple by a road haunted by the most awful living exhibit of wretchedness I had ever seen, the street of beggars and holy men. Everywhere in India, the eye is met by these so-called holy men. Life for him has been reduced to its simplest elements. The sun warms him, the few coppers he can beg in a day feed him, is the shadow of the temple. The presence of these holy men can be smelled as well as felt from a considerable distance. They shun water like the plague. Their talcum powder is the ashes of burnt corpses. Folded turban-wise on their heads are the beards of their ancestors. Even has changed this face from what once was a human countenance into what now appears to be a decaying cauliflower. I flung a silver rupee into the begging bowl of this mad exhibitionist. Look at his thumbnails, like corkscrews grown through his ears. That was his vow, and he kept it. This one never removes the ball of barbed wire from his face. That is his vow, and he keeps it. Quite as merciless to themselves is a sect of sun worshippers. This one has been looking steadfastly into the sun from the moment it rose over the horizon. It is now almost high noon, and he has blinked once. For days afterwards, he will be able to see nothing but the blazing orb of the sun. Eventually, these men all go totally blind. Begging is the only profession left open to widows. The children are borrowed or hired, for nothing opens a tourist's pocketbook as quickly as a half-starved infant. In every street is seen and heard this wailing chorus. The chant of the beggars is the real song of India. But here is one inhabitant of the land that never starves. Her ladyship, the sacred cow, being led by her proud and devoted guardian. Cows everywhere. They have the run of the streets and marketplaces. They have the right of way everywhere. The low-caste Hindu walks carefully around the cow so that his shadow may not defile her sacred hide. It is their belief that the cow body contains the soul of some departed brother, meditating on the joys of the promised nirvana. She toils not, neither does she give milk, meat, or leather. A cow's life is more important than that of a human being. For in some parts of India, the killing of a cow, even by accident, is punishable by death. They eat wherever and whatever they can find. Millions of Hindus may sicken and die for sheer lack of nourishment. But in the temples of the Brahmins, there is always a pile of fodder and a bed of clean straw for the sacred cow. They wander at will in and out of the temples. When a Hindu feels death approaching, his last wish is to hold the tail of a cow. Thus, he believes he's nearer his desired reincarnation. The temple elephants rockly by. Surrounded on every side by poverty, hunger, and human misery, these favored beasts wear head coverings studded with diamonds, rubies, and other jewels. Their tusks are often banded with solid gold. Caste is the great social evil of India, and by his caste mark shall ye know the Hindu. This Brahmin has a phallic symbol painted on his forehead. He belongs to a race of priests who live off the fat of a lean land. Below the Brahmin are 2,300 divisions of caste, all with different beliefs and customs, which result in a jumbled confusion of the social system. Then, so low in the social scale that they have no caste at all, are the untouchables. And there are 60 million of them in India. These untouchables are avoided like the plague, lest their shadows defile their betters. Soulless one, he is cursed, kicked, and beaten from one corner of India to another. Important role in temple rites. For here, the affinity between religion and sex is important, and more than frank. In India, a woman is called an arable field, upon which any indignity may be exercised. The Hindu denies that a woman has a soul. Apart from her services to man, she serves no purpose on earth or in heaven. I sought a famous guru, a teacher. I asked him if there wasn't something I was missing, something of the inner meaning of all I had seen. You must forget the flesh and seek the spirit, he said. He consented to guide me out of into the light of true understanding. Lace made of stone. Something more than mere craftsmanship went into the carvings of these alabaster tapestries, and they conceal much that isn't privileged to the tourist's gaze. My guru and I entered in time to witness the preparations for a child marriage, still an everyday occurrence in India. The groom, the blushing bride, was scarcely finished with her dolls. The miracle of creation holds no mystery for these child mothers. Love, it's a strange word in their language. Whole colonies of children are left to shift bells and to attend unaided to the serious business of finding something to eat. Nowhere in all the preachments of the Hindu gods is the touching invitation, "Suffer little children to come unto me." Without the guru, I should never have been able to attend the celebration of Trimiri. This festival of horror takes place at the headwaters of a holy river deep in the heart of the jungle. And we had to hurry to get there in time. We pushed ahead over an old trail which was a shortcut to the sacred river. Unseeing, I owned with a 20-foot python, whose camouflage was so perfect that he looked like part of the tree. A second more, and those coils would have gathered me into that embrace which means death. After that, I refused to go further without rest. I was utterly exhausted. I had to stop. All about me, the trees bore what seemed a loathsome fruit. Vampire bats. In the bright sunlight, they slept, hanging head downward and squeaking in their troubled sleep. Each of these repulsive things, the guru told me, contained the soul of a sinful man, pass a cycle of life as a bat before he could reach a higher incarnation. Sometimes these bats attain a weight of 5 pounds. Their wing spread is often as much as 4 feet. From a distance, we could see millions of these bats soaring upward from their jungle nests at twilight. Their flock careened upwards. They resembled winged tornadoes, sending every living thing in their path to seek cover. Watching them, I wondered, was there enough blood in all Asia to satisfy the thirst of this myriad of bats? I was convinced that my guru was right. For if the souls of sinful men must find bodies, they've chosen those of creatures that are as ugly as sin itself. And if sinful souls must have a place to congregate, they could find no better spot than this, in the fastness of the South India jungle. At dawn the following day, we arrived at the Tremiri just as the elephant processional completed its circle of the holy shrine. There are 50 elephants in this mob, but when you've seen one of them, you've seen them all. The leading elephant has an apron for its trunk made of solid silver. Hindus prepare themselves for this ordeal by bathing in a sacred river. To drown in these muddy waters is a holy death, and there are many of these every year. The Tremiri is a season of self-torture. This man is having a silver skewer thrust through his tongue. See how he trembles. He's an artist. At last, he's finished. Some ashes, and he's led away screaming. No matter how cruelly their flesh is tortured, many of these fanatics do not seem to feel pain. The sound of the drums, the weird notes of the native flutes, all combine to both tortured and torturers into a religious ecstasy that does not allow a thought of self. Tiny children watch all this. They are amused. But it'll not be long before they too will be seized by the spirit of these horrible rites and give their bodies to be mangled by skewers, spikes, and iron hooks. I noticed one significant fact. No matter how many times their bodies are pierced, no matter how deeply out of the wound, science has long sought the explanation of this curious fact. Yes, there are strange things in the East, but the strangest of all is the sublime devotion of these poor creatures for their trinity of Hindu gods. This one is not ready for the torture. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Frequently, women are seized by an attack of religious ecstasy, which hurls them into movement. Devil dancers is the name given to these girls, for it's believed that a devil has possessed their souls. Day after day, night after night, the drums beat a frenzied tattoo until it becomes maddening. The torture continues. Another votary comes forward to have a silver spike thrust through his tongue for the higher glory of the destroying gods. They must be appeased by human suffering unto eternity. Some jab nails of various sizes into their bodies, tracing out grisly and intricate designs on their chests and backs. Every sense is shocked by the extent to which these deluded people will go. It made me ill, and I wanted to leave, but the guru pointed out that there was time one of them invents a new and more horrible form of torture, there is always another who will go him one better. This holy pilgrim wants to show man and his gods alike that he can endure even more pain. He draws a heavy cart by means of this gruesome harness. Some of these fanatics make long pilgrimages, pulling their sacred burdens many, many miles. The day is drawing to a close, but there's no let-up in the religious fervor of the Tremiri. Even by night, the celebration continues. The jungle is their temple, the torches are their altar candles. And in the blackness of night, there are tortures for there are no words. This goes on hour after hour, and the last one is no less hectic than the first. At the end of the Tremiri, the weary pilgrims disband and march back to their villages. The festival is over, but many want one last dip into the waters of the sacred river, the stream in which are the bodies of both men and animals. And the river seems to surge more swiftly to the sea, so that it can purge itself of its burden of corruption. Kipling was right, for east is east, and west is west, and never